She's like, Bob, what are you doing over break? And I said, well, coming to work. And she's like, you have to work over summer break? And I'm like, yes. I go, but it's okay. She's like, well, at least the students aren't here. And I thought, students don't have broken computers 18 years ago. Now they do, I guess. But 18 years ago, students don't have broken computers. Students don't have a problem with their voicemail. The teachers are leaving. It's going to be a great summer. Then I realized that that's when we get all of our work done. So
welcome to Learning Through Technology, a K-12 EdTech podcast proudly presented by STS Education. I'm Alex Inman, founder of Educational Collaborators.
And I'm Bob Cerruti, founder of the EdTech Group. We're here to bring educators together, helping them unlock the full potential of learning through technology.
Tune in every other week as we connect with education leaders and dive deep into topics that matter to you, delivering actionable ideas straight to your school. Welcome to the show.
All right, Alex, here we go. We're going to find out if Bob has a good idea or Sophia wasn't supervising him appropriately when he came up with this idea. So I had this thought. We've had some pretty deep topics. Like the one that struck me is like the most serious conversation we had was with my friend, Dr. Melvin Brown, about diversity and equity at his school and in his career. Those are necessary conversations, and I'm glad that we can host them. But I thought, since we've spent years in schools, and for me, I still am in schools every day, even when there's not a meeting scheduled, I thought we'd celebrate the fact that we got to the end. It is a time for everybody, even those administrators or whatever, to take a breath. They might dress a little more casually. They may not have to deal with the day-to-day of discipline in a school or whatever. So I thought we'd talk about some of the good things that have happened over our careers, which yours is longer than mine because you're older than me. I know that's not really true.
No, wait, so not true, so not true.
I know. Anyway, so I thought we would do that. And you weren't around when we were making this decision. So what do you think, Alex? Is that worth doing?
That sounds good. Let's just tell our goofy stories. Happy summer, everyone.
Indeed. Okay, so Alex, I told my little story to get us started. What do you got for us that can top me being happy that there weren't students or teachers there for a summer?
Well, I'm not sure that, there's no topping that because every tech director feels that. And it's both this feeling of relief, the daunting feeling of what's about to come with all the work that you have to do during the summer, right? And that sort of like, or at least for me, that hunger to get started, right? Because the reality is you spend pretty much from January, February through the end of the school year, staging, preparing, purchasing, lining up, all the stuff that you got to do to get into the summer. And then it's like, I was a runner in high school, right? And so like to me, the last day of school felt like on your mark, get set, and you're at the line. And then as soon as the kids go, they leave for the year, teachers leave for the summer. A lot of them still do work in the summer, but at least they're not in school every day, right? And so there's this joy. For me, it's like the joy of starting the race. And then boom, I get to start on my projects. And I literally redesigned our library space in all of the places that I worked the very first day of summer, so that we could get started on all of our stuff. And I loved it. I loved jumping into all of the summer projects. I got a funny story about some of that though. Can I go ahead and share this now?
Sure.
I think it's funny.
We'll be the judge of that.
So all right. I just described, and and every listener of ours who's a tech director knows, you do like a year's worth of work in the summer, right? It's busy. And it's fun. It's more casual. It's relaxed. I always had student workers working in the, working with us during the summer. They got paid. It was great. So they get some extra work. They get paid. And I got to spend a little time with students who were all working on projects. We're all in shorts or jeans and working. But make no mistake about it. It's hard and it's a lot of work and it's a lot of stuff that needs to get done. Right. And the closer you get to the end of the summer, a little more stressful it becomes. And so we had reached, so it was like beginning of August. So teachers are coming back soon. I'm sure I was stressed out and that kind of stuff. And at home one night, I had like a fainting spell, and I had passed out and I had hit like a hard piece of the floor. We had this little marble divider between the hardwood floors, and I hit that marble right above my eye and on my forehead.
And it took all your hair off?
All my hair has been gone for so long. It made a real clean target. I had nothing to pad me.
Okay. I was just wondering.
And so boom, I hit that thing, and I'm walking around the house bleeding and very confused. And my wife is like, whoa, like this is not right. She knew I clearly had gotten a concussion, called the EMTs. They come in the house and they start asking questions. And I don't know if you've ever gone through a concussion protocol, Bob. I'm guessing by the conversations that we've had, you've gone through it frequently.
Sometimes you wonder if I've cleared them, right? Still in the protocol bar.
So they start asking like, what's your wife's name? What are your kids' name? And I was doing okay with that. And they're like, what day is it? No, I have no idea. What time of the year is it? Like, I don't know. And they said, okay. And then they said, where do you work? And I couldn't come up with that. And I said, it's summertime. And they're like, oh, okay. Yep. We ask you, what time of year it is. Yep. It's summertime. How do you know that it's summertime? And I said, because I'm really busy at work. And they're like, oh, okay, good. This is all coming back. So where do you work? I have no idea, but I'm really, really busy.
You're very productive when you returned, I'm sure.
Oh, it was a while. Actually, it was sort of a weird thing. I actually lost my math skills for about 2 weeks. And
now, to be honest, though, communications major.
Did you ever?
How deep are those math skills? So what long division just slipped away from you, right?
Well, fortunately, it was even like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. I lost, actually.
Did he say division twice, Sophia? He said division twice.
Division and division?
Yeah.
Where do I work?
Right. The Learning Through Technology podcast. We're all here together, Alex. Oh my God, it's a relapse.
I was doing inventory and my team was doing some inventory and I just needed to add some numbers together. And I wrote them down and I looked down and I'm like, oh my God, I can't add 2 3-digit numbers. And I'm like, well, you guys take care of this and let me know if there is. Just for the inventory. And it was like about 2 days later, and this was a week after maybe not a week, a couple of days after the concussion.
It's all a little foggy.
And then it was about 2 or 3 more days where multiplication and division, and I did not say division twice, came back to me. And so, no, it was a wild thing. But my boss very quickly I was telling him that story and he was like, okay, so in a concussion where you can't even remember the name of the place that you work, you're so emotionally tied to the stress of your summer job that you could remember the time of year only because how stressful it is at work. Yes, boss.
Did they give you any time off or anything? You would think that this would be a trigger for them that maybe Alex is working too hard. Alex, so this isn't really a funny story. This is a pop culture reference. We'll see if anybody remembers it. Your description of what school is like through January, February, you're getting your budget in order. You're checking out like new models of Chromebooks or, should you go to the next model of iPad or whatever you might be doing. And it reminded me, we'll see if you remember this. There was a commercial with Emmitt Smith in it years ago, the great running back for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
And it showed him training and he's like running up and down steps and sweating, he's lifting weights. And they're like, and he's talking, Emmitt, your mom, my mom says I need to take more time off. Emmitt, you work too hard. Emmitt, there's an off season. And he's just going at it. And he's like, and he's doing sit-ups at the top of these bleachers by himself as the sun sets or rises. And he's like, yeah, maybe they're right. I'm going to take a little time off. And he stops doing his sit-ups for like a second. He's like, okay, off season's over and back at it. That's what it's like to be a tech director, right? You're like, everybody leaves and you go, okay, I'm going to take some time off. All right, now to start unboxing Chromebooks. It's like, there is no off season for tech directors. No. There's just that little breather that you're like, okay, we made it through the school year. Now we got to get ready for the next school year. And it's not just tech directors. That's a position you and I had, but it's administrators, whether it's a building or a district or a head of school or whatever. And even really teachers are preparing for the new school year. They might be teaching a new class or they might be teaching subject matter or, somebody might have dictated to them that they have to teach a new way. So it's everybody. So I guess that's what we're celebrating here is that little breath that we're all going to take before we dive into preparation for next summer or for next school year.
All right. But I got a question for you. Like I know we're talking about.
Do you need me to add 3-digit numbers for you? 41.
Carry the one.
No, 42. 42 is the answer. 42 is the answer.
Right. Exactly. 42 is the answer. 42 is the answer to everything.
Right.
So, another pop culture reference.
Right.
So that we can confuse our producer. So, all right. So
She's
I know
looking it up
that
right
one
now.
of
What is 42 the answer to? Go ahead.
So I think as much as I enjoy the sort of liberation of student and teacher challenges so that we can really just get our hands dirty and get into the big projects during the summer. I miss them. I really miss them. And when they come back, it's great. And especially with student devices, when kids come back or teachers come back, there's always some good stories associated with that. What's your best story about, a teacher or students kind of coming back and bringing perhaps a device that looks a little different, or a procedure that wasn't quite thought through?
So you made me think of something that didn't have to do with devices, and somebody I left out in this whole conversation. So I want to bring it up because it's a bit of a story about that. So I apologize. You set me up for something. I'll let you talk about devices. But let's not forget, like in the summer, and we know this because we're in the buildings working, preparing classrooms, deploying new technology or whatever. But our maintenance and facilities people, this is their chance to like get floors waxed and get
Oh, right.
carpets
Yeah.
cleaned.
Big for them
So
too.
they're
Right.
they're with us all summer long. And in the first school that I worked in, they'd empty out, like as soon as school was out, they'd empty out the classrooms, all old terrazzo floors, and they'd wax them, and they were beautiful. And the maintenance director took great pride in it. But we couldn't do anything in there. And
Right.
I didn't know, like I came from private industry 20 years ago. I didn't know this was going to be all summer. So like every day I'd walk down there and be like, oh, they're still out of the classroom. Not realizing this was going to happen until August. So I
Right.
go down to him and I'm like, hey, Dan, this is getting to be early August and school's going to start like August 20th or something. Like, hey, Dan, when do you think you're going to put these classrooms back together so I can put all the computers back in? And he's like, well, we're hoping to have it done by August 15th. I'm like, hoping? The students are here August 20th. There's no hope. Like, they're coming. It's like finals when you were in college, right?
Right.
You can hope you're going to be ready, but the final is coming. And I'm like, they're coming. You need to be done with this stuff. But then I learned, like, they got a job to do. They prepared
Yeah.
for all summer too. They prepared for summer and whatever, whether it's roofs or fixing floors or new paint or whatever to make those buildings.
Yeah.
And some of these buildings are pretty old because our schools don't get new buildings perhaps as regularly as they should. So they've
Right.
they're the unsung heroes to keep those places safe for us and the students. So that's my little bit of story just about somebody else who has the pressure on them in the summer too.
It really is about the only group that has that kind of pressure in the summer, right? Like, they're like the registrars and all those folks, their busy times are at the end of the semesters and they're insane, right? And they prep, and like everybody's got the same kind of story in terms of like their tough season. But boy, I think it's only the tech and the facilities that have quite that same kind of experience during the summer. Summer is when we do our laptop repairs, right? So we do this big rotation of devices. And I think one of my favorites that happened kind of after the summer or right around the summertime, either at the beginning or the end, was female student showed up with her laptop, and it had this like ditch, like little rounded ditch sort of cut or burned into the top of the computer, right? And it was this divot and kind of got shallow, and then it got deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm like, what happened to this? She goes, I have
It's a
no
mystery.
idea.
Like, no idea.
I
like that when I got
never
it.
know, right? Like I, you know what? I didn't even notice that. I'm surprised that that's even, it's like 6 inches long, and it's a big ditch in the top of the laptop, and it's like burned in. I'm like, what is that? And she goes, I have no idea. And we're all guessing, right? Trying to figure out what this is. I'm like, well, this does constitute as damage. We're going to have to, file a claim on this. It's going to have to be warranty or accidental damage. If you can tell us what happened, we may be able to cover it outside of accidental damage. No. Okay. And so she leaves, and the 3 guys in the department were trying to figure out what the heck is going on, right? And another student comes in and she sees the thing and she goes, oh no. I said, what? She goes, somebody put a curling iron on top of that, huh? And it's like, oh my God, that's exactly right. That is totally what. And I'm like, wait, did you do that to your computer too? No. Well, close, but that is definitely curling iron. Saw the student later on and asked her. She confirmed indeed it was a curling iron.
Curling iron?
Oh, you know what? I might have put my curling iron on top of my laptop while it was hot. Maybe. No,
Well, I don't know if the laptop was hot or not. Like, I
That's
have
it,
no
no,
idea.
right.
No, we meant the Chromebook. Okay, so what's funny is you told me you had a curling iron story, and I didn't put that together until you said it. So maybe I am still suffering from my concussion protocol. Anyway, so here's one that has to do with about 750 Chromebooks. So the first school district I worked in had 6 elementary schools, all a little different, but they all had brand new wings built on them. They had a science lab, a media center, and a computer lab. And we had rolled out 1-to-1 Chromebooks, and I can't recall the year, maybe 2014 or 15, maybe. Right before school ended, so we could get them all out and kind of trial it. So April and May they had them, and we collected them all in the media center so that we could go through them, check for curling iron marks and whatever else might come about. And which I gotta say, I've never had a curling iron. I've had all kinds of other stuff, but not curling iron. And so it's just in those days, it was just me, the tech director, and Ashley Medwick, who's our programs manager to this day. She was leading our summer interns, so came around to work, and I get a panicked call from one of the summer interns. Bob, I came into work and all the Chromebooks are gone. And I'm like, what do you mean they're all gone? He's like, we were working on them. We had stacks over here that were done, stacks over here that needed repaired, stacks over here that had to be gone through still. And I'm like, what are we talking about? He's like, all of them. Like, this is like 700 Chromebooks.
Are you dealing with too many broken Chromebooks at your school? It can be tough to keep up. That's where the STS Education and FedEx Fixed Cost Chromebook Repair Program comes in. For $99, we take care of everything, shipping, parts, and labor. This means fewer headaches for you and more consistent learning for your students. To learn more, check out stsed.com/break-fix.
You left yesterday at 4:30. It's 7:30. Nobody, we're hard pressed to get anybody to move a Chromebook, let alone all of them. And I'm like, oh my God. So I get over there. We check the doors. We had these old crude cameras in the day. We're looking for maintenance to look at the cameras to see who came in or whatever. Turns out he's in the wrong building. He was working in a different elementary school the day before. That elementary school, they had already finished those Chromebooks. But the library is exactly the same. It's exactly the same layout, carpet, everything. He was in the wrong. And at the time, we had one librarian per 2 elementary schools. So it was the same librarian. So she even had it decorated the same. I was over there for an hour. I'm like, oh my God, there's a huge investment, 750
for an hour.
So we're talking, and he said something about this elementary, and I'm like, we're not in that elementary. He's like, now he had been, working for 2 weeks, maybe a week or something. It's just a summer intern. He came in. You're in the wrong elementary, though. We go over to the other elementary. They're all right.
That is funny. That is really funny.
Yeah. Yeah. We had 750 Chromebooks stolen, but not stolen. I mean, I was like, what am I going to tell? This leave the door unlocked and they cleaned it.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be a serious hit job. We did have, we had, when we got to the end of the summer, or I guess not, about halfway through the summer, we started to tag, check in everything. And I guess we had checked them in, but we were starting to check out, and we're missing quite a few computers. And it kept going through, everything was in the inventory. So we were eventually able to find out, we're missing 16 computers. And so, we checked with security. Nobody had any answer for it. 16's enough that's you got to report that, right? And
I mean, it's not 750, but sure.
Well, exactly. But it's big enough that you're not going to self-insure.
No.
16's
the real deal. Got to figure it out.
Yeah, right. And so, we contacted the police and filed a report. So we just don't have any, we don't have any leads for you or anything like that. And now one of our temporary staff members that we had hired over the summer didn't show up that day, but no big deal, right? And it sent in a note that he was sick, and so that was the day that we found all these things, right? And so we filed the police report, and come to find out that 6 of them showed up in a pawn shop, and then 5 more were in another pawn shop, and so we get to the filed a report with the pawn shop, and they shared with us the last name of the person who sold it to them. And I'm like, well, I understand why that person's today, and I'm pretty sure he won't be coming back.
Right. I know how the story
I had to go around, and I had to go around and find all of them and say, don't sell them for 24 hours. And then get actual police reports turned in so that we could reacquire our equipment from the pawn shops. So it was crazy.
But
at least I didn't know where I was for an hour. Just saying. Concussion protocol. Jeez.
So one of the other things that we do to this day, we talked about, student devices being checked in or whatever. One of the big things that happens to this day for us at EduTech is E-rate project, category 2 and sometimes category 1. It happens here. A lot of our schools are doing, so I'll assume that not everybody knows what category 1 is, internet connectivity, and category 2 is the hardware, your infrastructure. And
Network infrastructure.
so
Yeah.
we're I don't know if I have any funny stories about hardware infrastructure category 2 ones, but I do have one about category 1. So we just say can't change till July 1st. So July 1st we get this new, I think it was Spectrum maybe, puts in the new fiber to the head end at the high school, and it's going to connect the other schools. And it's like July 5th or 6th. It's like after the 4th of July, and I'm in the board office, which is attached to high school, and I'm surrounded by secretaries who all at once go, the internet's down. And I'm like, huh. And we just got this new provider in Spectrum. And
Yeah, right.
so they're all like, Bob, what'd you do? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like,
What'd you do?
so I called the assistant tech director who's in the building with me, and he's down our office at that time was right off of the MDF, the server room. So I'm like, hey, Tony, go into the MDF and see if everything's off, or see if the like core's off or whatever. And so he's like, no, it all looks green. Nothing odd in here. And I'm like, okay. So me and the treasurer are going door to door in the offices trying to figure out what's going on. Now, there's no school going on, but we're like, what's going on? And then I get a call back from the assistant tech director. He's like, I think I found the problem. And I'm like, oh, did you fix it? And he's like, I can't fix it. I go, what's the problem? He goes, come down here. So it was a long building. So me and the treasurer walk down to the building, and he's standing in the entryway outside of the media center, which is where our office was and the MDF was. And you look out, and let me paint a picture for you. It's this grass courtyard, like that opens to the road. And there's these little signs that say internet connectivity or utility, don't dig here. And it leads up to a big, like 4x8 sheet of wood with those sticking out each side. And he's got it up and he's looking in a hole. So I walk over and I lift it up and I look down in there, and sure enough, there's our fiber cut in half with one of those stupid little flags laying on top of the cut. Like it said, your
flag is on top
cut
of the
in half. So that the treasurer goes, when do you think it'll be back up? I'm like, fiber to, like they used to say in the car business, is broken in half. You get both halves. Like, I don't know. But I know this is the problem, and it won't be fixed today. I have no idea who's doing what there, but there's literally the little signs they put in your front yard that says "Don't dig here," and then a big board. Yeah. I don't know. So that made my summer a little longer, as we didn't have internet for several days while they came out and repaired it.
Oh man.
E-rate projects, right? And everybody for a minute, I'm like, oh my God, I screwed this up. Like there's a configuration wrong, or an IP address expired, and now it's grabbed it from the wrong place, and oh my God, what have I done wrong? But no, there's just a big hole in the yard.
So, like maybe your flags was interpreted as dig here, right? Like here's where you should dig.
I think aim here.
Right. I think sometimes our all of our work and efforts, even with the best intentions, can have negative implications. Right. So I tell this story when we're doing our cybersecurity assessment presentation. And so this one didn't happen to me. This is a story that happened at another school. It was an independent school. They shared the story, and the story's so good, I use it in our cybersecurity assessment. So the school had just moved to Google, and they were all excited about all the collaboration opportunities that were available in Google, so that you didn't have to solve problems by yourself, but rather you could use sharing, file sharing, and collaboration, and multiple people working on the same document at the same time, so that things could get done faster, as opposed to having to like integrate all the results. And so a teacher seeing this was so enamored with the power of this, and decided that, hey, the nurse said they were going on a field trip, and the nurse gave them a spreadsheet that had all of the sort of allergies and challenges and health issues that they needed to be aware of, right? And so the teacher, but the nurse said, hey, these all haven't been updated. And so like, you need to be aware that there may be some challenges outside of this. Well, this teacher thought, I can solve this problem. And so took the spreadsheet that had all of the students' health information on it, shared it with all of the parents, and asked the parents to go ahead and look and validate the information about their child and update any information that is incorrect. And one of the parents is like, this spreadsheet that you sent me that has information about every single student, did you send my students' information to every single parent in the class? Because if so, you'll be hearing from my attorney. And that is exactly what happened. It was the Google shared document that had I mean, they didn't have data loss protection turn out. Like, there's a lot of ways that could have been fixed, but this teacher was so proud of herself for using this Google technology right away to solve a problem quickly. All of the parents. It was not a very pretty experience.
Very smooth commercial for yourself there, Alex, and the educational collaborators. I have heard that story before, and I totally get it. Like, and you don't want to like crush her spirit. You're like, don't ever do this again. But you're like, you can't do this again.
Fucking great. It's like, love your enthusiasm here.
Your execution's a little wanting, but your enthusiasm. So this will be my last story.
All right.
And I have to tell it delicately because it's, if told wrong, would be inappropriate. So tech director, I'm sitting at my desk in one building, and my phone rings, and it's the media center specialist in the middle school. And I answer it, and she is frantic. Bob, I don't know what happened, but I had my screen on watching what all the students were doing. So in her library, there was a computer lab next to it. And the students, a teacher would, in the day, a teacher would sign out the lab for the day, and they'd take their students in there and they'd go through their lessons or whatever. And this media center specialist had probably synchronized at the time, but had some sort of classroom management so she could see what every student was doing on there. And she said, they started their class and all of a sudden there was porn on all of their screens. I don't know what happened. And I'm like, uh-oh, what have I done wrong? So like a lot of tech directors, I had a couple of sites at the top of my head that I could type in to make sure they were blocked and see. And I typed them in and they were blocked. And so I go, Jane, just shut them down. You have the ability to lock them out. And she did. She locked all the screens. She's like, I did that already. I think she was like beside herself. So this is a big deal. Like, just like all of a sudden we exposed 7th graders to porn. I better go check this out. So I go over to that school and I go talk to the media center specialist, and she says, Bob, it was like, she was still disturbed by what she saw. And she's like, I don't know what happened. And so I talked to her, and she's like, I locked it down right away. And then I went and talked to the teacher, who was a very, very nice lady. And she was like, oh, Bob, I don't know what happened. I can't. And she's like, shouldn't the filter stop? And I'm like, yes, but every day there's new porn sites, and the filtering wasn't as sophisticated 15 years ago or more or whatever. And I said, it's okay. I'm just trying to figure out what happened so she tells me the story that she took the kids in there to celebrate a holiday. I won't say what holiday. She took them in there to celebrate a holiday and learn more about this holiday. And she told the kids, go to this web address. And she just told it to them. And if you changed one letter at the end of that address, it was a porn site. And that's what they went to. So all of them got that. Now, here's the thing that was nice about that. Is
they all got the wrong. They all got the wrong address. The vast
majority of them got it wrong. Now, here's the nice thing about that was, I think it was synchronized reading, and it had a delay. So it actually didn't make it to their desktops. She was able to stop them. When the media center specialist shut them off, they never actually saw it. So that was a relief. But the media center specialist saw all the same thing. And she was just, well, what we learned. So we had a little debrief about it because, told the superintendent. Sat down with the principal and said, here's what happened. Here's why it happened. No students saw it, And so what we learned from this, and I did not say this in the meeting, but is the truth is we learn to enunciate, and we write it on the board where we want them to go. We don't just tell them go to this URL because, back in the day, whitehouse.com was the famous porn site. And you really wanted students to go to whitehouse.gov if you wanted to learn about the president and what goes on there. This was not the site, but similar idea. And they were just so shocked by that. Thank goodness we had the proper, we had a double filter, and then I think it was synchronized. Could have been something else that had paused it so they couldn't get to there. But yeah, it upset them pretty well, I'd say.
Well, I'll kind of wrap this up with, I wrote a blog post, I don't know, probably like 10 years ago now, but
it was longer though than that because you're old and it all seems much closer than it was. It's like the rearview mirror in your car.
It all streams together. But
we'll look it up.
25
years ago.
So it was at University of Iowa, I think. They asked me to write a blog post about, the teachers and the kids coming back, right? And what they wanted was like this sort of celebratory welcome back. And what I wrote was, because we are happy, like it is the energy level in the school. It's exciting at the beginning of the summer for the tech team because so few people are there. You can just get an enormous amount of work, right? And you have to. And so you love that. But at the end of the summer, it gets a little lonely, right? And we all start to remember why are we doing all this, right? We're doing this for the kids. We're doing this for that's the purpose of all this. We don't spend the summer to run a network for the 16 people that are in the building during the summer. We're doing it for the hundreds of, 100 teachers and hundreds of kids or thousands of kids who come back. And that's why we do this. And what my blog post was on sort of the juxtaposition of like, we're so happy to have them back, but we're so tired from all of the work that we did, right? And we want to say, and they're so, refreshed and joyful and generally teachers are pretty happy for the first day of school too, right? Because they're all dorks and they, they became teachers for a reason, right? And they love the classroom. And so when they come back, they're happy, they're joyful, they're refreshed from their summer vacation. Same with the kids. If you've got a great, healthy school and the kids come back, and it's a tough time, I think, for a lot of tech directors to sort of, be tired because of all the work that they've done all summer, to be excited for all of the teachers that are there, and to be, frantically wondering and inquisitively looking at how well did their work hold up when all of that is, any network can look great for 16 people, right? But get that network to look and run great for thousands is a whole different thing. And it's just, there's a complexity to the emotions of, I think, a tech staff at the end of the summer. And I think it's both wonderful and beautifully deserved as we get into this. So as we get into the summer, all you teachers and administrators who have an opportunity to actually take a breath and get away, awesome. Congratulations. You've done it. And I want you all to enjoy that. And for all of you tech folks who are, excited about starting all those projects that you get to do, awesome. Go get it and knock them out of the park. But, we understand what you're doing and what it's going to look like at the end of the summer. And as complex as it is, I think we're all very happy for you because it's a pretty cool time of year.
Who knew that Alex was going to give the win one for the Gipper speech for our tech director audience? But I'm behind it, Alex. I applaud you with my little golf clap. Go get him, Alex. We're going to get back to work now,
everyone.
yes.
Exactly. We'll get back to work. You guys get all back to work. Have a great summer. And but these episodes don't stop. We're going to keep running them every couple of weeks, all throughout the summer and throughout the year.
Learning Through Technology, a K-12 EdTech podcast, is brought to you by STS Education, a Pacific OneSource company. To learn more about how educators can leverage technology to drive successful educational outcomes, check us out at www.stsed.com. Connect with us by searching for Learning Through Technology in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, or anywhere else podcasts are found. And click subscribe so you don't miss an episode. On behalf of the team at STS Education, thanks for joining us.